Well, you've realized one thing's for sure: the devil's not a game. He's real, and he's worked on you for decades. You bought into his lust. You enjoyed the way that made you feel, playing with the boys as a little girl and being sexual before your time and continuing down that path of deviancy. Because that spirit was around you, family members realized that deviant family members that should be in jail took advantage of that, and you were molested. And this has all been hidden and a burden that you've carried for many, many, many years. You've been too afraid to share it because the position and popularity of the family member that infiltrated you and harmed you and violated you was too powerful. The gravity of saying something like this you knew could work against you, and that people possibly wouldn't believe you. You were told that if you say anything, it won't go well for you. This is our dirty little secret, is what you were told. And for years you've carried this burden of guilt and shame and dirtiness upon yourself, but you've continued to have a very active sexual life that really hasn't gone the way that you would have liked, even though you've had experiences that satisfied you and satiated the hurt and pain inside you. You turn to religion in some cases. Many of you turn to religion, and that worked to an extent. The Lord and His Spirit helped you to find a way of digging your way out of the darkness and the hurt, shame, guilt and pain of what happened to you. And others, many of you turned to alcohol, drugs, medications and other recreational chemicals to ease the pain. But you knew there was a better way. You knew many of you were in the wrong religion, and you had to wake up to that, as if there wasn't enough going on. You found yourself in a false religion and realized excuse me, that you were being deceived. Many of you realized that the drugs and alcohol was just an easy way out, and a harmful and costly way out, financially, mentally, physically. The people around you had failed you, friends that had come along and all the hype of, you know, what they bring failed you. It all failed you. And now you're confronted with yourself. You're confronted with what you've done with your children, what they believe to be good and right, and how you've influenced that, and not all of it's the way that you would have liked now that you've woken up. Not only have you woken up to yourself, but you've woken up to the evil that you have instilled in them by spoiling them and grandizing them and pedestalizing them and going along with their wrong way of life. You've had to look at the whole thing and realize that you've culturally, domestically formed a set of values that really are harmful and not good for anybody to be subject to. And you've made this a way of life that hasn't worked, will not work, never was going to work, and now a very large part of your life has slipped through your fingers and your children's fingers under the deception of these values. And many of you are religious people, and your religion has deceived you as well, and you've lived a miserable life trying to make God happy and stop Him from being sad, which, as the Bible says, turns you evil, does nothing good for you. Instead of just having a common, happy, normal, joyful life, Satan used that against you whilst you thought you were making God happy and stopping Him from being sad by the things you thought you could do or not do. all that did was bring evil to you and present that evil to the people around you. You never found your way out. You're just a miserable religious person that thought you had everything right, but you were just a stubborn, horrible, self-conceited person. And you thought later, when you realized that, at least the addict doesn't push their foolish beliefs onto people unless they're gathered in a situation where they all start to blabber under the influence of their chemicals and things, which they do, and they turn on each other and bite their ears off and noses off and attack each other and harm each other and mentally abuse each other. You see, the best way to go about this is to come way back to the ground, to the sky, and to yourself. Start there, start again, get rid of the chemicals as far as you can. Many of you will be medicated for the rest of your life due to what life's done to you and the decisions that you've made in it to harm yourself. And of course, this has worked against you in the most extreme, horrible way. A way in which you didn't plan or prepare for. And you know your mind's been damaged, you know that your body's been damaged, and you start to see the light. There is a way out of this. A light that has shone in your darkness and given you hope. And even as a religious person, and those that aren't religious, you realize that Jesus is who he said he is. His spirit is real, you can feel it and sense it. You don't want anything to take it away from you, but you want it to be private, you want it to be an experience of which you can enjoy within your privacy, so that you can heal and mend at your pace, in your time, and by his guidance, wisdom, understanding and knowledge. And it's real. There's something real happening to you. There's something real happening in your thinking, in your body, that's helping you and mending you. You know that you'll never fully come back from where you put yourself. You'll know that you'll never fully return to the person that you're supposed to be, but you're grateful for what's happening to you and for you in this new revelation of freedom and happiness and privacy, of coming back to yourself and being grounded on integrity and morality that's achievable and obtainable, and not extreme. You mourn for the way in which you've raised your children, the enmeshment that you're in, and you know you can't undo it now. You've got to accept that there's a certain amount of damage that you've caused. That damage is irreparable to an extent, because now they've got to come to a place in themselves where they need to reculturalize domestically and within their personal values, away from the things that you taught them to believe that were wrong. And they feel like you've betrayed them because you've abandoned them in these beliefs. And it's not going to be so easy for them to, at this point in their life, understand that everything you built their life on and taught them about, for the majority, was wrong. Completely wrong. And you live with terrible guilt and shame because of this, but you have to push on with the life that you have left. And as you were told by people that crossed your path, hopefully your example will show them in the long run that they can forgive you, and what they were taught as family values are wrong, and that they'll find their way out. time goes by, and it is what it is.